Well, hey there, Diet Disruptors. Carrie here, and I have an episode for you that is like, I'm going to call it a trifecta because there are three amazing things that we are going to learn today, three amazing topics that we're going to dig in today, and we're going to do it with two incredible people, a couple who inspires our entire membership group every single day. Wait till you hear about the trifecta, but more importantly, their story. Bev and Ray, hello, welcome.
Hello.
Hi, thank you for having us today.
Oh, we have a lot to share. I mean, before we actually even just started, I was like, oh gosh, I could just talk to you guys for hours and hours. But I love how you have embraced this lifestyle. I love your background, which is one of the three things we're going to talk about today. And the story that you have of how you work together, what you're doing, why you're doing it, all of that. I think it's important to know, Bev, you actually had heard about me for a while before you decided to work with us. A lot of people find me on the Facebook or the Instagram or things like that. And you had found me when I was working on sort of like a global movement, a smaller kind of example of our approach. And you really tried to implement it, the two of you together. And you really felt like you were doing it, but there was something missing. And that's when you reached out. So let's just share a little bit about that. And then I want to get into the trifecta of what you are doing, and you are going to blow everybody away. But go ahead. Tell me that a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. So it was kind of funny with the timing of everything, but we'll get into this in a minute. But we live in an RV right now, travel time. But right at the beginning of that, we learned about the reset that we were in before with the other program that you referenced. Yeah. And it was kind of funny because it was kind of parallel with what we were doing with moving into the RV. I remember that time and thinking, oh gosh, how do we do this as whole food plant-based and trying to move in and get on the road and all that fun stuff. But you're right. I mean, we were very successful at the program and went into the accelerate piece of the program. But little by little, we just found ourselves there was just something missing. Like you said, we just found there were gaps.
Yeah.
We knew we weren't balancing each meal. We knew that we weren't, I don't know, as structured as we needed to be. We went from eating 5 times a day to eating 3 times a day, just little by little. And yeah, knowing your name and seeing you out there and even hearing you talk before, that's when it clicked. And I was like, I need to reach out and see what's going on here and see what am I missing? What are we missing here?
And you even mentioned to me, you felt like there was some of your thinking because that wasn't being addressed and you couldn't put your finger on it. I remember, I knew that you had known kind of me before. And so I actually did your initial call with you, which I don't ever often get to do. And I distinctly remember that you're like, there's something that I'm not thinking about in terms of my thinking.
100%. And I just had that squirrel in my head all the time. It was almost to that obsessive level. And I've heard other people speak about that before, but just it was always present. And now it's just the peace in my head is night and day different.
Yeah. And when you people are always like, just tell me how to eat, just tell me how to eat. And so, I'm always kind of back and forth around, at Disruptive Nutrition, we have such a comprehensive approach. That's really this support model and this really a life coaching approach to nutrition, to really helping people to understand it at a deep, deep, deep level. And yet at the same time, I want as many people to understand the concepts that we teach. And there's always this ebb and flow. And so when I was asked to help with a kind of a more, I guess, scalable approach, I was super excited, but I was a little worried that if I didn't get to be able to really dig in with these people at the way that I knew they needed, because I had taught people how to eat for so many years before and it didn't totally stick, then we weren't really going to make the movement that we wanted to make. And so you kind of reiterated that to me again when you came on board. But I love that you're here and you embraced it. And so let's talk through a little of the trifecta. And then I want Ray to talk too, because I got to meet with both of you and you were in your RV. And I love that we're going to talk through the fact that you are living in an RV and making this lifestyle work, traveling all over the country, totally downsizing, and doing this. And that's one. But two, you're doing this as whole food, plant-based lifestyle. And that is a lifestyle that can be amazing if it's done right and well. And it does take more intention. It does take more work. And you're doing it. Not only are you doing it, but you're doing it in an RV. And then the third part of this trifecta that we're going to talk about is how the two of you have been a solid force together and working as a partnership. I love the posts in our membership group, and they're always about how the two of you are working on this lifestyle. And while I know that there are some people out there where their partner is just not going to support them, if ever that is a possibility, that's what makes it so sweet. And because this isn't a diet, this is truly a way of living that will support everybody, no matter where they are in their journey. Because I'll have women say, well, my husband doesn't need to lose weight. And I'm like, it's not about that, right? It's about really living your best life. So let's start with that. And then we're going to work backwards from there. So I'm going to ask Ray, when Bev was like, okay, I'm going to reach out to Carrie, we got to do this differently. What made you say, okay, let's keep going?
What made me say that? That's a good question, because I support her and love her so much. And I know that she struggles with things at that time with food. And you're going to choke me up right away. But anyway, because of that, it says, yeah, let's do this, because I want you to be the best person that you can be. And in turn, I will turn out to be the best person I could be if we do the right things. So
I love that. So, but when you say the right things, I think this is the piece that's hard for people, because so many women especially will come to us and they've done all the things, right? And they've spent money, and they've spent more, even more importantly, so much time, energy, capacity, and they can't fail, quote unquote, again. And
Right.
so for a partner to be able to support their loved one in this, what made you feel like, okay, yeah, like this actually is a thing that we should be doing? Because there's a zillion.
Yeah. And what really made sense to me, because I didn't really pay attention to anything until we sat down with your meeting. Okay. And when I heard everything that you talked about, balancing PFCs, eating properly, the mindset was huge. All of that, that's what just made it click and turn on the engine and say, let's go,
I love that. I love that. Dig into the mindset piece a little bit, because I don't think we're all always aware of how much our thoughts and our beliefs dictate our actions, because so many people just want to learn how to eat. What made you believe that the mindset was an important piece of this puzzle?
Well, I believe that mindset's an important piece of our whole life, to be honest with you. And when you look at your food and how you commit yourself to the food and how you think about your food and what it's doing for you, and that's the biggest thing, is what is it doing for me?
Yeah.
And that's where the mindset to me said, okay, this is what we need to do, because that helps everything else go the right direction, right?
Yep.
And once you've got this in place, everything else works right.
Yep. I love that. And Bev, you were pretty convinced, like, this is what I need to do, right? And this is the road I need to go and join Carrie, join their team, and all of that kind of stuff. Do you think that helped you in terms of feeling confident in talking to Ray, and just knowing like, okay, I'm not going to lead him down a path that's for nothing?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he's the most wonderful person ever and supports me in so many areas, but I just, feeling his heart, and he just knew that the struggles that I've gone through, and just he knew that if I believed in this, and if I would go through the whole program, that I could get these pieces that I wasn't getting before.
Yeah.
So it's not just about the food plan, it's, and it's the mindset piece, and the, finding out more about yourself and what makes you tick, and being proactive, knowing, and and knowing the triggers and being proactive to things that come up and all the things that you teach. It's a gift that you can't even tell somebody how important it is.
And you know, on top of it all, systems, you're all living in a tiny little house. And if you don't have systems in place, then it's going to be rough. I can't imagine living in the size house that you're in and not being able to do this together. But yeah, I do love that. And I think it's inspiring for a woman to hear another woman say, you know, he knew how much I struggled. And I think a lot of women don't share with their partners this internal struggle, the squirrel, this narrator, this little inner voice. And so I encourage women, if you're listening, to say, you know, be that vulnerable person and share that with your partner, because they need to know that you aren't looking for a quick fix, or you're not just looking for kind of losing weight for no real purpose. It's really a bigger piece around who we are. And when you approach that with confidence in what you're doing is right, and they know your pain, they're going to support you. And I think that that's important. There's a lot of fear I find when I talk to women, or when we talk to women, about being able to bring it up to their spouse because it's another thing. But a lot of times they don't know how much struggle they're in. And so I love that you've shared that with Ray and that he was aware of that. So let's keep going a little bit, because not only are you doing this together, but you're doing this together, doing a whole food plant-based approach. And I mean, I have talked to so many people about their desire to go plant-based. And I'll always say, are you sure? It is more work. It's totally possible. But to be able to really get all the nutrients in that you need, there's a lot more you have to do. And I knew you were living in an RV. So this is the second part of the trifecta. You were strong as a couple, and I love how you supported each other. And not to say that you can't do this if you don't have that support, but I do think there is a way to garnish that support with the way that you speak to each other. But now let's talk about the second part of this trifecta is whole food plant-based living. You were both really like, this is important to us. And throughout the entire time you've been working with us, even when it got hard, you never deviated from that. Let's talk through why it was so important to you and how you stayed true to that desire, even when it was hard.
And it was hard. It's not hard. It's a little bit more work. Okay.
There you go. I love that. Yeah.
A little bit more
intention.
Work. It's more intentional. You have to be much more intentional.
Yeah.
And let me give you a little addition to that. Not only do we live in an RV and we travel all the time without the same grocery store every day and all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah.
But at the same time that Bev started this, our kitty was diagnosed with diabetes. And we have spent
your kitty needed some PFC love.
I know, she did.
So we worked through this with all of those things because we did it together at the end of the day.
And
your why was really big.
Yes. Yeah, it was, without a doubt.
Yeah, the why is huge. And you teach us how to live within the chaos of all of our lives, no matter what happens. But you're right, the structures are huge. And sometimes we think it might be easier in an RV because we don't have as much, we don't have rooms to go through too. We don't have as much going on.
You can't have all the junk food stored around. You gotta be
right.
Really good point. You know, I'm downsizing to a smaller house, and I just keep thinking my husband was going through stuff and he had all these little mason jars. And I'm like, no, but I really want to be able to use them. And he's like, we got no room. You've had these for 10 years. I'm like, okay.
It's true. The clutter kind of goes. You just have the essentials. And then you get your own system of doing things in such a small space, you know? So one of the things that we did that I should not take any of the credit for, that Ray did 100,000% when we first jumped into this, was he built us a spreadsheet. And that it might sound really like tracking your things and things like that, but it gave us some solid foundation, and we needed that solid foundation.
I think references.
Yes. And like you said, it's different than another lifestyle. And so we can't just choose, a piece of turkey and, and things like that. The pieces of protein that we need to fit in, we needed to track that. We needed to track it. And so
I think that's a good point, because sorry to interrupt. We aren't about tracking our food for the sake of like overall, what are we eating? How many calories for the day? I mean, macros for the day, but teach us a little bit about what it takes to get those complete proteins in that are so essential for your body.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool because you taught us that, you know, you have 3 vegetables per meal to get the complete proteins. So that's where the spreadsheet helped us, is we could go, okay, well, we're going to go mix this vegetable, this vegetable, and this vegetable. And we know we've got our complete proteins. All plants have proteins, but not all 9 essential proteins. Some of them do, but not all of them, right?
Or they have lesser amounts that don't really qualify because the 20 amino acids are spread throughout them.
So yeah. So what we did is it helps us to say, okay, we'd like this, and then we say, okay, well, we can add this and this to it, and boom, we got it. We know that we don't have to sit here and think, are we getting our complete proteins? No, we are. Are we getting our vitamins? Yes, we are. Are we getting all of the other essential things that we need, the calories and all of that? We know we are. So it's just a matter of more of a meal planning device now than it was when we first started, because when we first started, we spent hours and hours looking at this.
Just trying to figure it out. But once you do it, you got it. And then the cool thing about the spreadsheet is now it's like our meal plan and our grocery shopping list, and it's morphed into so much more than just making sure that it's all balanced at every meal. Although when we do add in, like, I don't know, what were we talking about? Oh, French toast. We were like, oh, we're craving French toast. And then our mind goes right to, okay, we'll figure out how we can have French toast.
It's not about I can't have it, because you're not going to do the eggs, you're not going to do the dairy. It's how can I have it?
Yes. And so we'll put it into the spreadsheet and we'll figure out how we can, you know, manipulate the different percentages to have it. And it's not even an appreciation meal. I mean, we could have it as an appreciation meal, but most of the time we'll figure out those things just as like a yellow light.
Yep.
And so, so the spreadsheet's been just like our tool that has fit.
I love that. And I mean, we've supported so many people that wanted to live a plant-based life, but you all have taken it to a whole new level, that we can share now some of these resources that you've developed in with our community. And it's just absolutely beautiful to see how, you know, I just think that's what this community is all about, is continuing to grow and evolve. And you being here have added as much to our lives as we hope we've added to yours. I love that you've taken the concepts and just taken them to a whole nother level, to make it as simple as possible. And so what's super exciting is that everybody coming after you is now going to have a whole nother set of resources. Like, we think what we do is pretty darn good, but we also know, like, where can we continue to grow? And you're all helping to fill that gap. And I just think it's incredible. And those people that aren't spreadsheet savvy, don't worry, Ray is. And internally on our team, we're like, have y'all seen the spreadsheet? Oh my gosh, have you seen the spreadsheet? It's pretty amazing. And I love when you share all sorts of incredible recipes. So you're not keeping this to yourself in our membership group. So I'd love for you in our Diet Disruptor Squad, because we put our podcast out in a bunch of different places, but we also put the video out in our Diet Disruptor Squad, which is our free Facebook group. And we'll share a few of Ray and Bev's recipes here for you all too, so you can get a sense of a PFC balanced meal that is plant-based. And so let's keep going a little bit, because the trifecta of all of the things that make you all amazing, I mean, there's way more than 3, but that we're covering today, is your support for each other and the way that you support each other. The fact that you have held true through a strong why to the concept of whole food plant-based living, and you're doing it all in an RV. So we've already touched a little bit on that, but I'd love to hear a little bit more about RV living and what you are doing, like a daily kind of idea of what you're doing. Now, I actually think without yard work and without all the maintenance of a big house, maybe you have actually more time than most of us. But tell us a little bit about the practicality, the logistics, and how it works being in an RV, living a really kind of a disruptive nutrition lifestyle, if you will.
The biggest thing about being in an RV is storage space, right?
Yeah.
because we're whole food plant-based, we go shopping about once a week. And we get
probably about once every 4 days, 4 to 5 days.
Okay. Okay.
Because it's spoil, yeah.
Type of stuff.
Mhm.
And then the
Yeah.
other thing is Bev is a master at planning ahead. So we've already got today's meals planned. We know what we've got. Part of it is already prepped so that it's easier, because we don't want to stay in the camper all the time.
No.
Okay? We're out here seeing this magnificent country we call the United States of America, one piece at a time, one campground at a time.
1% progress a day in seeing America.
Yep. And so we don't want to be tied to here. So we built in, okay, we're going to prep this tonight for tomorrow night so that we can go do this. When we come home, boom, all we've got to do is heat it up, warm it up, cook it, whatever we have to do, and we're done with it. Right. So we find that there, and the support is we work together at it. I'll chop vegetables, she'll wash vegetables, she does the majority of the cooking, and I do the majority of the dishes.
Oh, that is my kind of partnership.
But at the end of the day, it's pre-planning. It's you talk about it. You've got a plan, right? You've got to make a plan, because if you don't have a plan, you don't know where you're going.
Yeah, and that's what's so important. If you don't plan, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail, right? There's that saying, but especially in the small space that you're in, you're almost forced to do it. But I think this is a transferable skill set that I hope inspires others. Just because you don't live in a tiny house or in an RV doesn't mean that this isn't completely applicable to your life too, because what they want is what we all want, is not just food freedom, but time freedom. Right. And to be able to go do the things that we were supposed to be doing during a certain season of our lives. Now, I know that you two are semi-retired. I mean, there's you guys are doing work on the road, but at the same time, maybe you have a little more time than somebody that works 9 to 5 a different way. I mean, let's be honest, we all have the same amount of time, but maybe that excess time. But that's the season of your life right now, and you want to live it with purpose. Right. And so no matter where you are, that intentionality is key. So systems are super important. And so how have you adjusted a little bit since before you started working with us to now that you're more efficient? Because it sounds like you had some systems before, but like, what are some things that you've learned through that?
Yeah, for sure. No, that's great. I've often thought, because I was in teaching before, I've often thought, if I knew how to do these systems, if I knew then how to do all these systems, I could have followed through with a bunch of this stuff, while I was teaching. But like Ray said, the pre-planning is huge. You have to know what you're eating today, and continue that rotation. But it's not like we're spending all the time in our kitchen, and nobody else wants to as well, no matter, what their lifestyle is. And so we double it up a lot of the times, like during dinner, we'll prep for the lunch tomorrow, or we'll say, what are we doing tomorrow? If we're here for lunch, then we can have a different lunch than if we're out sightseeing, when we'll do a grab and go lunch. And then, okay, what will that grab and go lunch be? So typically our typical day is to start our morning with a shake and some nuts and some fruit. And then we'll have another shake in the mid-afternoon. And then our lunch will either be, we have all sorts of things, of course, but if we're on the go type of things, sometimes we'll do aloha bars or no-cow bars, and mix it with whatever we need to do to get our appropriate count in there. But then we'll also do things like we'll mix protein. We call it our chocolate protein dip. So we'll do a chocolate protein dip, which is just the protein powder and water. We're so fancy. Sometimes, sometimes we'll have apples with it and strawberries with it. And so that's one of our grab and go types of things that we'll do as well. Last night or yesterday, we made spring rolls. And so we made spring rolls for today's lunch, and then we made extra ones. So in a few more days, we can have some spring rolls that are there.
Oh, that is so smart. What are some things you're putting in these rolls?
Yeah, so we figured out how to make kind of a sauce with nutritional yeast. So we're getting in the nutritional yeast.
Yeah, good protein in there.
Great protein, yeah. So we make kind of a sauce out of that. And then we'll usually put in cucumbers and zucchini and spinach. And then it's kind of one of those things, whatever's in the fridge we'll throw in type of thing.
Yeah.
But a lot of times we'll put in some plant-based egg and maybe some tofu as well.
Yeah.
And so again, it all kind of depends on what's in the fridge and how are we going to make that balance.
And mushroom.
And mushrooms.
Yeah.
A lot
And
of
you
mushrooms.
can do this because you know so much about food. All of your spreadsheet, all of your research has now allowed it to become much more automatic. Would you agree?
Oh yeah,
Exactly.
fluid and automatic. Yeah, and we can mix and match a lot of different things much
Yeah.
easier than we
What's
did.
your
of course, our first
favorite plant-based protein, like that's higher in protein, that like people that are just starting to dip their toe in, you know, you're like, okay, these are some really good ones to always have on hand.
Well, we have several things on hand. So some that are higher in all of the, you know, amino acids and the nutrients and things like our chia seeds, green peas are great as well. Of course, nutritional yeast, quinoa,
Buckwheat.
buckwheat. Yeah, we'll have buckwheat instead of rice a lot of the times. Hemp hearts.
I was just going to say hemp hearts. Yeah.
Yeah, hemp heart seeds, lentils, Ezekiel bread. Ezekiel bread was kind of one of those, wow, that's really cool that one has so much in it. Even things like spirulina and chlorella and things we've added into more into our shakes in our lives so that we get that.
Yeah. Chickpeas, are you doing chickpeas a lot?
We do some with chickpeas when we make hummus.
Yeah.
We'll do that.
Yep.
And mushrooms, like Ray said, are a huge part of we love experimenting with all different types of mushrooms. And we learned some really cool techniques, like with lion's mane mushroom, how you can shred it with a fork and you make it into like a fish patty if you want to, or a chicken patty, just depending on the spice
you could do tacos like with that, you know.
Yeah.
The other thing that we use quite a bit of is a nutritional yeast plus brewer's yeast.
Brewer's yeast.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
It pulls a lot of that other stuff in that we need as well. And it's also good to get rid of free radicals.
Yes, I was just going to say, because they're power foods. Yeah. And so when you're really thinking about free radicals and how they zap all of our cells and things like that, like you're really just giving yourself so many incredible nutrients into your body on top of just the protein. So it's so powerful. I love how much you guys are doing and learning, but even more importantly, sharing. And, you know, as a teacher, Bev, I just feel like that's like our hearts. That was my role for more than 20 years. And it's like, once you know something, you've got to teach it. Wouldn't you agree?
I would agree. And Ray was in corporate training too. So it's the same thing of just, you have this and you just want to share it. You want everybody to have that light bulb go on.
Exactly.
It's completely possible. Yeah.
Exactly. And not everybody has to go fully plant-based, but like what I love is that you can ebb and flow depending on where you are and know that everything is possible. You get to make the choices on the type of lifestyle you want to lead, and make sure that the foundational concept of balancing your blood sugar is where we are focused, as opposed to dieting and things like that. But Bev, you know, what I really want to know too is like your thinking, right? Like that was a big part of what you really felt like you needed. How has your mindset shifted from that obsessive? Because you're thinking a lot about this now. It's not like you don't think about food. And I always talk about the balance of that. Like to be a good teacher, you had to think about teaching, but if you got obsessed, you'd burn out, right? Where's the shift now for you in your mindset?
Yeah, that is so cool that you asked that, because I can remember what I felt like back before we started this, and just it's a difference in obsessing, maybe. Although I don't obsess now. Now it's like this calm. I have this calm and I have the confidence and knowing that what I'm doing is what I believe in, like you said, our why, and that it's completely possible and that we're doing it. That, I mean, it's just this confidence that comes from it. And so it's not a squirrel in my head anymore. It's not that whole bandwagon of I should eat this, but I'm going to eat this and then I'm going to feel bad about this. And, you know, the concept that if you have an appreciation meal, or if you know, 3 hours later, you're right back on it. There's none of that shame built in over, you know, going to bed at night feeling sad because of what you ate and how you look. And for me getting into this, it wasn't about the weight, even though I did need to lose some, but it was, and I'm happy that I have and know that I can do it forever. But it was more about, it was more than that, much, much deeper than that, because I needed to fix my mindset. I needed to fix those wheels turning in my head and believe in myself.
I love that. It's like a continuum, right? So think about your relationship, right? It's if anybody that's ever been in a relationship that wasn't positive, we can be obsessing, we could be stressing, it just so hard, right? And then you're in another relationship that you're still thinking about, but it's not, it's a positive calmness, right? So anybody that's been in two different types of relationships knows the difference between that. It's like a job. You've been in a job that's really stressful or just not a healthy environment. It's not to say you're not going to have a job. You need to find a job that gives you peace. You're still going to have to think about it. You're still going to have to spend time in it. And so I think that's what we have to recognize about food and understanding. It's not that we are going to not think about it at all, but we can either be in this like negative spiral around food or be in a calm around food, still thinking about it, but it's how we approach it that's so different. Ray, what is something that you've noticed about Bev and her shift in her mindset that's been impactful for you, for your relationship, all of that?
Again, you're gonna make me tear up here. She is she's a better version of herself, mentally and physically. And I also see the confidence in her, and the confidence comes out in her. She no longer is upset when she puts on a pair of clothes or when she sits down for a meal. You know, those are the things that I've noticed, and it's just it's a calmness. Yeah. Her mindset is where it needs to be, and it's growing every day. But the calmness is there. There's no longer this anxiety, this constant battle, frantic stuff. But
what does that mean for your future?
It means our future is we're gonna live together for
forever,
200 years.
You're gonna die young, way later together.
Yes, exactly. And to be honest with you, the transformation, not only mentally but physically too. I mean, she's it's amazing. It's beautiful.
I love you both so much. And here's the best kind of piece about this. This is what I love. And you know, we get so many different people that go through this transformation and want to figure out a way that they can kind of impact others. And we can't bring everybody onto our team, but we know that Bev and Ray, the two of you are, you know, have taken this to a whole nother place, and we need you on our team. So Bev is in the process of training to be a highly certified nutrition coach, a mindset coach, and she's working with us behind the scenes while living this lifestyle. And as soon as we all feel she is ready to go, she is going to be on our team. You may already talk to Bev. She's doing some initial calls with some initial prospective clients, or just people that are wanting to learn more or get a little bit of support. So we're really intentional on our team about who we bring in. And so there is just so much love in our hearts for both of you, because when we find somebody that really is a good match for us, we want to really just bring them into the family. And you're kind of like stuck with us now. Like you already knew you were part of our family in one way, but now you're in a whole nother level of our family. And so if you are able to work with Bev, I mean, you will get Ray right there on your side as well. So if you have a partner that is thinking about being on here, that is or being part of it, they might make a good coaching team for you. So we're excited to have you on board when we get there. But more than anything, we're just so proud of you all and just very, very grateful that you put your trust in us and that you're sharing with others as well, because that's really the whole key. If we keep it all inside, what's the point in so many ways, right?
So true. And thank you. Thank you
you.
for the opportunity that we can come out and share with people and walk through this together. That's what life's all about. Taking a walk together.
I love it. So if you are interested in some of what Ray and Bev have come up with some amazing plant-based meals, I want you to put in the comments Ray and Bev. Just put it in there. Put their names in there because you will remember them and see them. And then we'll get you some of their great recipes that they've been putting together. So put in the comments and we'll respond to you. Thank you guys. Do you have a big day planned of exploration?
Thank you. No, our truck's actually been in the shop, so we think we're going to get it out today. And then we will be packing everything up and heading out bright and early in the morning. So
awesome. I love your life. And we're just stay connected, and everybody can stay connected in our group and learn more about how they are living this amazing lifestyle together. Thank you guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.